YouTube, Salivate Metal here, eating crow on the wake of the Brexit vote. Congratulations to my British friends for taking such a bold move and going out and voting. And I know some of my viewers in the UK were in the Remain category, uh, especially those in Scotland. I know Scotland voted overwhelmingly to Remain. And there is some talk and threat of referendums for and for Scotland again, and maybe even Ireland to Northern Ireland to rejoin with Ireland, the nation. So we shall see what happens. But nonetheless, I'm going to explain quickly why I was wrong about my prediction, my bold prediction that Brexit would never happen. And then we'll talk a little bit about the markets and uh, and where the precious metals have settled in for the weekend here. But nonetheless, some of these reasons, the Brexit economic warnings backfire. The NHS claim gets traction. The about how much money goes out of uh, the UK and into the European Union melting pot there. Immigration. Now that one I think is the one reason that we that we'll explore here later. But then there's the public to stop listening to the prime minister, who, surprisingly enough, resigned, who was campaigning actively for citizens to vote to remain. And then the labor fails to connect with the voters, uh, and also the juggernauts of Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, Nigel, and the older voters flock to the polls. And Europe is always slightly alien. In other words, they don't really care or don't really have the UK in mind in decision making and the like. But I think moving back up, I think the biggest issue, more than likely, and the biggest reason why I predicted that UK would vote not to exit the EU was because of the status quo. And the status quo has been as such for quite a while, but really, I underestimated this reason here that's shown in this chart, and that is the immigration issue. Immigration has spiked dramatically in the United Kingdom, and they had no say about the matter because it was mandated by the EU. And you can see by this chart. And some of my viewers had mentioned that in some of the comments and messages and the like, is that there's been a massive influx of immigrants. And it's not that the British are against immigrants, but without assimilation, you have a real problem, and that occurs naturally when you have too many people come into a country. And in fact, that's one of the problems that's occurring on a minute scale here in the United States in comparison to many countries in Europe because of the EU's policies. But, however, in the United States, from I believe 1924 to 1962, we stopped all immigration in this country, um, for the sole reason to allow those immigrants already here to assimilate. And I believe we need to do that again. We need to not worry about isolating certain groups. We need to stop immigration altogether in the United States to allow people to assimilate. And obviously, that's a problem in the United Kingdom, and it's affecting a lot of people very, very in close proximity, because there's a lot more people showing up there. And also, you have militant radical Islam running amok in London, and it's become a real problem. Watch the movie Clear Skin. That will talk about that. Um, the other issue, so that is, I think, the one thing that I didn't, and I knew the immigration was one reason, but it obviously is affecting more everybody's lives. So it's affecting the status quo. So I think that's what brought some people out. Also, I heard some comments just this morning, which I didn't realize, that the president of our nation, Barack Obama, went into the UK in April of this year, and and really foolishly, basically said that if the UK leaves, that for trade they would be put in the back of the line, in the back of the queue, so to speak. So a threat that he really couldn't enforce, but also just an horrible foreign policy blunder on his part, and that actually probably helped uh, the leave and the exit strategy for voters. So quite interesting there indeed. And so this chart was very eye-opening for me to see how much of this is occurring and the like. So moving on, we see that gold prices and silver prices have dramatically risen. I stayed up to watch the vote until 6 a.m. UK time, and saw that during the course of the time, gold actually spiked up to $99 up. It was up $99 at one point. It's obviously come back down some, and I'm actually surprised they haven't gone up any more than this, considering that the markets have dropped like 3 and 4%. 600 points for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, S&P down 75 points, Nasdaq down 200 points, and so it's kind of shocking that they didn't drop, or they didn't go up any more than that. But I think that's part and parcel to the fact that this is just day one, and people are still in shock in this, and so I think that's what you're seeing. Could the markets level out? It's hard to tell. With talk of other nations voting to leave, Cybercurtain Twitcher sent me a link to an article which I don't have in front of me here, where the Italy and I think some other nations are thinking about leaving the EU, especially if Britain exits. And now we could very well see that, which means that we could see a domino effect and possibly the collapse of the EU, which in my mind wouldn't be a bad thing, because I believe a government that's closest to the people governs best. And in this case, it's quite obvious that sovereignty is a major issue, and the United Kingdom should have sovereignty and be able to deal with its citizens, and the like, with a smaller and government that's in the country itself instead of in another nation, Brussels and the like. So it's going to be very fascinating to see what happens on Monday when the markets reopen again, and give people a chance to digest all of this, and the markets and the geopolitical sphere. So we shall see what happens, but there is my 2 cents, and basically, eating crow, I was wrong, and I was very glad that I was wrong in my prediction about the euro exiting or about the United Kingdom exiting the euro. So I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, comment, and subscribe.